I'll go over shop first because that was mentioned. This one, yeah, I feel like so with my American Airlines video, there was a gap down, but it had pulled back to technical support. I think that it will not go much lower than where it's currently at. And so a Shopify, is there a level like that? And so maybe if we connect these two lows, maybe that would intersect over here. So I'm just going to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, that to me looks like it arrived at support. And so it's 2363 over there. I'm just going to, so, a little movement in these pivots, a little adjustment could potentially, really tweak it a lot. And so this 45.50. So I'll lock that in place. I'm going to remove the volume profile. It just gets a little too cluttered for my liking. Yeah, so I mean, tested it and bounced. So really like right around $57. Does look like that was a pretty good bounce. With what's going on right now, with this day being more or less flat, I could see price pulling back to that line, maybe coming down to like $58, 58.50. And then from there, maybe going higher. If I do throw up the volume profile though, yeah, it does seem like, I mean, this is starting to overlap with this wick over here, getting some overlap here. So I would think that there is going to be some resistance, like the low from May 9th, that was at a price of 61.61. That corresponds with the high of today, 61.68. So it's quite possible it's getting rejected there. Basically just people like, I mean, I think it's always good to try and think about these charts psychologically. Like if I was in the position, how would I respond? And so, there are people who were considering buying before earnings because they thought it was a good value at $77, let's say. But then there's this massive gap down, over 18.5% down, and then, following earnings, and then people say, hey, there's a massive gap there. I think price is going to go up. And then so people maybe FOMO in down here. And then so when they FOMO in, they buy a bunch of shares. FOMO is technically, based on Wall Street's best definition, $10,000. Or wait, no, that would be a YOLO. Sorry, they YOLO in, expecting it to go back up. And then it pulls back. And so the people who YOLO'd in are going from, let's say $10,000, just throwing that out there, down to, coming to lows of that 10,000 is only worth 9,000. And so they're panicking a little bit and they're saying, hey, at this dip, maybe I'm going to get my average down a little bit, but I can't do it too much. At some point I'm going to have to cut my loss. And then it comes back up to, their average or right around their average, and they sell. And so I feel like that's like a really nice way to think about something like this, why there might be selling pressure right around here, because people entered here expecting a bounce, and instead they got a 10% drop. And so I think that's why we might be seeing this cross here, getting rejected from that level. And, looking at this chart in this time frame, we have that volume average high right around 61.69. The high for the day was 61.68. We might see rejection where price is currently at, but if we see a pullback to, this volume shelf that's sticking out here, ranging from about 58.50 down to, maybe we get some wicks below that uptrend to like 57.50. And so we see that happening. That could be a great entry because then it would be another retest of this uptrend, which has acted as support going all the way back to 2022. And it's quite possible. I'm just going to remove the volume profile. We go back. Actually, no, I mean, that is maybe I'd have to adjust this to the weekly time frame. No, but that's, yeah, I mean, that looks pretty significant. This is on the weekly time frame. We have not traded. We have not closed on the weekly time frame below that uptrend. If I switch back over to the daily, we did get one close just below it. Maybe that's a fake out. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel that Shopify, I feel that Shopify will probably, but who knows, maybe the economy turns around, people aren't buying as much, businesses are struggling a little bit, let's say. Maybe it doesn't fill this gap right away. But I think with it respecting this uptrend, I feel like that seems likely. But I think another test of this uptrend would serve to then break above this level where there is a good amount of resistance. So I could see that pullback happening, but then that would be like a fourth test of this trend line, and it'd probably not be as strong as it was before. So maybe it would break at that point. So I'd be cautious of that, and I feel like, maybe buying back at like 58 would be good, but then maybe a stop loss if price dips below 56.31, especially if there's a close below 56.31, which was the low hit on May 28th. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty interesting chart having bounced from this level. But just like, this drop here following earnings, it doesn't mean there's going to be a bounce. And I think a lot of people, kind of, put on a little too much risk entering right there because of that pullback, about 10% down. So yeah, cool chart.